Hey guys, before we get into things, please subscribe to our channel and make sure you turn on notifications so you know every time we post. And also, head over to our social pages, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram so you can see clips and chat wrestling with us. But now, let's get into the video.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's CTD from C2 Wrestling, and Monday Night Raw just wrapped up, and it is time for a post-show review. There's one main thing I want to get into today. I can mention some main things that happened on Raw. We had the War Raiders winning the number one contendership, so they will be going for the tag titles. Chad Gable attacking Rey Mysterio, continuing the feud between the LWO and American Made. You had the Miz running for his life. R-Truth doesn't want him. He's stuck between a rock and a hard place. We now have the feud pretty much established. The Miz most likely going to be with Final Testament, taking on the Wyatt Six, which I personally like. I know people aren't crazy about the Final Testament. I like Cross. I like AOP. I like the faction. I actually think that's a very good rivalry. And given the proper time, that is something that is very interesting. A few other little things that happened on Raw. One major thing, Dominic Mysterio pinning Damian Priest in the main event. Obviously huge. Dom finally gets a big win, of course, with help. Roll up. Priest shit cans everybody after the match to, keep him strong, of course. But we got to talk about the most important segments. It's what opened the show. It had multiple segments in the show. And no, I'm not referring to Bronson Reed once again having the best segment on Monday Night Raw for the umpteenth time when he took out Seth Rollins. We got to talk about this Bloodline storyline. We now have Sami Zayn is going to be brought back. We had a promo between Jay and Jimmy, which at first the promo was a little confusing because Jay and Jimmy just hugged on Friday. Then Jay comes out and he's a little fed up at Jimmy still. I get it. Story wise, it should make sense. Yes, they're back together, but he should still have his worries with his brother, even though it is his twin brother. We have them get back together. Solo and Bloodline 2.0 show up, attack them. The Usos fight them off. We then get a backstage segment. Jimmy and Jay, they walk up to Sami Zayn. Sami wants to talk to Jay by himself. Jimmy takes offense to it. Jimmy walks away. Jay talks to Sami. Jay cuts him off when Sami is worried about Jay just hopping right back into things with the bloodline. They later have their going of separate ways. Jay goes back to Jimmy. Jimmy tries knocking Sami and Jay steps up for him. Jimmy says he'll talk to Sami. We then see later on Sami talking to Solo in the parking lot. Now, long-winded recap of multiple segments that happened there, but I want to get into the talking point. This is very good to get Sami back into the storyline. I love having the OG Bloodline back together, and we all know the plan since day one has been OG Bloodline versus Bloodline 2.0 in War Games at Survivor Series. I know the timeline isn't the greatest considering Roman wasn't coming back until SummerSlam. I would be lying if I sat here and said this didn't all feel rushed. Now, it does seem they are going to ease Sami in. They're not just sending Sami right in right away. But SmackDown spoiler, if you don't want the SmackDown spoiler, skip 20 or 30 seconds ahead. Jimmy, Jay, and Roman are back together. Awfully quick. Now, I get Jay has cut his promo saying he wants them to be equals. He still loves them, yada, yada. They want to run the show. It just all feels so quick for a story that has never had rushed storytelling. If anything, people have complained the storytelling's been too slow. It now feels the opposite, where it kind of feels too fast. Already, Jimmy and Jay back together like that. We're just completely forgetting that them two faced at WrestleMania. They almost forgot to bring it up until Jay's promo tonight, which felt weird because they just hugged on Friday. I get it, siblings fight, twins fight, but still felt a little odd. Immediately getting back with Roman. We know it's the end goal, but it took maybe 2 weeks. And using the enemy of my enemy is my friend type logic for him to immediately be back with him, that just feels rushed after years of the storytelling. And it kind of showed in Sammy's promo when he talked about years of Roman belittling you and treating you like garbage and your own family treating you that way. And you're just immediately going back. So, in this aspect, I will give credit. They are now playing into it of why it is done so quick. Now, I do think they could have went the route of just telling the story a little bit slower, of Jay gradually getting their trust back, or excuse me, them gradually getting Jay's trust back and gradually getting Sammy's trust back. But instead, they've gone the route of Jay is basically dove headfirst into the deep end back with them. Sammy will have more reservations and he will slowly work back in, and it'll set up Bloodline versus Bloodline 2.0 in War Games. Now, I sit here after saying all of that, mentioning that it does feel quick. To me, the Bloodline 2.0 has to win War Games. I know this is a month away. I know Crown Jewel is still coming this Saturday. But for how rushed this feels, I almost feel like in War Games, OG Bloodline needs to have not friction, but they need to be off. They haven't had any tune up. They haven't been together in a while. There's still a little bit of trust issues. I don't want them clicking right away. I also don't want them to just win, because then what? You've just built this. We knew the Roman return was coming, him coming for Solo. We know that's still a match to make. Roman versus Solo one-on-one and Roman versus Jacob one-on-one are two huge matches you still have in the holster. I think the best way to extend this storyline, if you're going to keep going with it, is Bloodline 2.0 has to win. But to bring it back in this Raw recap, and my main gripe, it does feel a little bit rushed. It does for a story that has been so slowly developing. The bottom of the third inning jokes. It feels like you kind of took a nap and all of a sudden it's top of the seventh. And you're, whoa, I was just bottom of the third. How did we get to the top of the seventh? So that's my only gripe. Now, there's still plenty of weeks. War Games will be a huge tell. We don't know where they're heading for Mania. The Rock is going to be back in the mix soon. So I'm not out here poo-pooing it. I'm just out here calling it how I see it. It does feel rushed. Doesn't mean I don't like it. I do like it. It just feels a little bit quick. And last thing I'll mention on Raw in this recap, which it was a decent Raw. For a go-home show, okay, wasn't the greatest thing ever. Wasn't as good as SmackDown and my Motor City Machine Guns winning the titles. But it was a decent show. It was a solid show. It does feel like everything on Raw isn't timed as well as SmackDown right now. I know they have more stories and less time. A lot of it just kind of feels rushed, one to the other to the other. SmackDown just has a better flow to it. And I know Raw isn't going to stay 2 hours forever. SmackDown's not even going to stay 2 hours forever. We might feel the opposite of this in just a few short months, where it feels like SmackDown drags in 3 hours and Raw has a normal pace. This Raw felt it. It is nice at times. You just go from a segment to a segment to a segment, not even getting a chance to think. And it's like, all right, cool. On to the next, on to the next, on to the next. But tonight it just felt a little clunky. That's my personal opinion, but I want to know your guys' opinion. Do you feel like the Bloodline story is being rushed a little bit for a story that was so slowly told? Now all of a sudden we are just jumping ahead just like that. Or do you think it's good pace? Are you happy? You know this is the end goal anyway, so just get you there. You don't care if it takes a few shortcuts. Get down in the comments below. I would love to know your opinions. Also, while you're there, make sure you're subscribed and turn on those notifications. And every time we post, we got some big stuff coming. This Thursday, our podcast will drop. It is a special Halloween edition. Both Snowden and I will be dressed up. You're not going to want to miss that. We will have Crown Jewel predictions. We will have Crown Jewel recaps, reviews, reactions, you name it, all coming this weekend. You got to be here. Follow us on our socials at C2 Wrestling. I've been CTD, missing Snowden dearly, but he's double duty right now with his Yankees and the Steelers. Neither score looking too great at time of recording. So best of luck to you, Snowden. As for you, Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you guys next time. Peace.